My name is Sarah, professional interior designer and creator of the blog She Holds Dearly. On this channel, I like to talk about making a home beautiful on any budget. Thank you to AG1 for sponsoring today's video. Hey friends, welcome back. We're going to talk about small spaces. I love talking about small spaces. I get a lot of questions about them and they're very challenging. Also, when you get it figured out, they're so rewarding. So let's focus on desks and how to incorporate desks in maybe a space that you feel like is impossible to work with. I'm in a house that is 2,000 square feet. I don't think that's super large. I don't think it's super small, but there are some challenges about where to put desks. And we really amped up the desk ownership in this house during COVID, because my husband came to work at home during that time, of course. Now I'm always working at home, but we had to come up with an office idea for him. And then my children are all 1 year apart. So every season we go into is quadrupled and intense. So high school hit, college hit, and we have a need for a lot of studying, and then friends come over and they're studying. And so I actually switched our house during that season over to a lot more of basically a glorified dorm for kids to come study at. So we have 6 desks in our house. Now the kids are not using them anymore. They're out and about and moving on with life, but I still have 6 desks in this house, and I thought it would be fun to look at each one and talk about why I chose that particular style and how I have it organized and how I have it doing multitasking for me. And so I think this will be really helpful. You can take these principles, you can apply them to your own small space, and maybe think outside the box of how you can get a home office put together, or maybe some study space if you're homeschooling, something like that. And then of course it's back to school time when I'm currently releasing this. So this is a shout out to all the homeschool moms, all the kids going off to college, all the kids going back to school, and maybe some of you viewers have gone back to school too. So this will be a fun topic. I love having desks all throughout my house because I feel like when I sit down at a desk, I just do better work. I don't know if I just take myself more seriously or what it is, but there's key points during the day when I want to sit at a desk so I can do good work. I've got my morning routine down with my AG1, and now I have a new addition to my evening routine. It's AGZ. It's a new product that they are releasing. Actually today, at the release of this video, AGZ is now available. And AGZ was designed to support like the winding down period and the restful period. And they use adaptogens and herbal extracts and high quality minerals like magnesium. So there's these natural stages to sleep, which I had never thought about, but it does make a lot of sense. You've got the falling asleep stage, you've got the actual sleep itself, and then the waking up. And all of those need different supportive nutrients to have them be quality experience. So AGZ has L-theanine and ashwagandha that helps your cortisol levels, that helps you wind down. When you finally do fall asleep, then they have magnesium and restorative nutrients, which help your body create natural melatonin and GABA. Then when you wake up, there's saffron to support that experience. And I love that saffron is nicknamed the sunshine spice. So I've been using it for several weeks. I noticed within a few days, all 3 of those stages were going so much better for me. In fact, I was even waking up without an alarm clock, which I don't know if I've ever really done in my life. And I think that this is helping me. So 90 minutes before bedtime, I will get my AGZ and I'll put it in, I fill half full in a glass because I cannot figure out how to get it mixed without the frother. You have to use the frother. And then once it's mixed, which just takes a second, well, I fill the rest of the glass. And then I have this little kind of wind down period in my day where I sit at a desk, I look over my schedule for the next day, and I write out what the goals and schedule is going to be like for the next day. And that helps me wind down to go to sleep and then wake up refreshed. AGZ is sweetened with monk fruit and stevia, and there are 3 flavors you can choose from. You got chocolate, chocolate mint and berry, and they are currently offering a really great starter kit. So you choose your flavor and then you get a whole month of that flavor, and you can get the frother that I showed you too. So you've got the QR code and then the link in the description, and you can get started on having an even better nighttime routine. I've never found a product that covered all three of those stages of the sleep experience, and so they're doing a great job with this product. All right, let's keep talking about those desks. We're gonna start, you already kind of saw where I was sitting at. We're gonna start with the secretary desk. Now, I love that these have become, actually, I would say they're trendy at this point. I see more and more of them. People are excited about secretary desks, and for good reason. So if you have a little corner, I mean, even at the end of a hallway, I think this could work. Any type of little corner you have, you could add in a desk that's about, what is that? 15 inches deep. And we have it right in this walkway by our front door. So this opens, we can still totally use our front door, but it is a nice little option when we need a study spot, or I can do a Zoom call there or something like that. So as you can see, it folds up and you can hide whatever work you're doing here. My friend Kristen Hoffman uses one of these for her work desk, and it's literally right next to her dining room table. She just opens it up, pulls a chair from her dining room table, and turns around and does her work. And it can get messy in here if needed, and then we just close it up. I usually just leave mine open, but it is nice to have that option. Let's talk about how I have styled it, and I want to do these sort of additions to every one of the desks, because one of the things that I don't mind about having so many desks in my house is that they're styled very beautifully and they just incorporate into all of my decor. So I don't feel like there's stacks of paper and post-it notes and colors and books and things that I don't want showing. And I think that's a really key point to making a desk work, is you have to be very intentional with your decor all around it. And so let's take a look at how I have actually styled this secretary desk. All right, first of all, let me point out that since we're by the door, in all homes, I like to add in a mirror. And we could be using those hooks for keys, but I have another solution, but that might work for you. Okay, then down here we have, I have pens in here, pens, highlighters, those types of things. All mailing supplies are in here. We've got some extra chalk, rubber bands, stamps, those kinds of things go in there. So we hide the very utilitarian items as much as possible. Now my living room is it was kind of dark academia, now it's light academia, but I have a lot of natural pieces in the living room, which I love. So any type of natural decor would work, definitely, to make your desk look like it's part of your style. I also, if you notice, I don't have a lot of different colors. I pretty much have white, gold, and then blue. And I stick to that simple color palette. So I've got some old thrifted books. Almost everything's thrifted in my house. The lamp I found at Goodwill, and I made that little pleated shade. I do think adding a light at every desk is a must. Then cute pens. So anything that's showing, I try to have it cute. Got these on Amazon. And then this is a little sugar bowl that doesn't even have a lid. So we turn it into the pen holder. I keep my stationery here. Rubber bands are here. Those are utilitarian, but I have them in a little seashell to go along with my natural look. Then we tucked in a little bird's nest. This is a floral frog. I could put pens in this, but I haven't done that. And then my wax seal, another book, and then I've got gold paper clips in a shell just to make the two seashells symmetrical. And I've got some flowers. And then down below, I collect old books, but whenever I find a set, that's really fun because I know that I can just quickly fill a whole shelf. So I don't use this at all. It's usually covered up with a chair, but that's a good way to deal with a bottom shelf. Not utilitarian at all. If you did want to put things down below that you didn't want to show in your decor, I would probably get some frosted contact paper, and I would make these doors not see-through. One more thought on the secretary. Now I have a slip-covered chair at this one, but if you have the space, if the layout in your house works, it would look really good to have this closed when you need it, and then take your chair and just put it right next to it on the side. I think that would look really good as well. Okay, so another situation where I've used a desk is I'm using it as a dual purpose nightstand desk situation in our guest room. So we don't have enough space for an actual nightstand. It's very small in here. That's why I've got the sconces acting like a lamp for the person while they're sitting in their bed. And there is enough room to use this as a place to charge your phone, set down a bottle of water or a book or something. And so it's working as a nightstand / desk. And then you can see I did very minimal decorations, just these fresh flowers, and then the guests can use it the way they want. Now this desk you are most familiar with. This is my little office, and I show it all the time on YouTube, but it's technically a closet. So I believe that our original room in here was 2 rooms. Actually, I know it was because the grandson of the builder, who's in his 80s, told me that the back room was his grandmother's sewing room. So there used to be 2 rooms, which means we had extra closets in here. So we've got the 2 that are flanking Colby's desk, and then this was a 3rd one. We really didn't need it. So for a long time I had a dresser in here, but then finally I said this is gonna be my office. So I'll show you like my shelving over here and stuff, but that's an idea too. If you have an extra closet, which maybe in a small house you're thinking, no way, we need all of our closet space. It is a viable option to turn a closet into a tiny little office. One of the things that I recommend if you do this is that you do wallpaper or you do some type of a wall treatment. I have some shiplap in here that causes a separation and a depth and makes it feel more like it's its own room. So let's take a look at kind of how I have it organized in here. First off, you can see that I'm utilizing the 2 side walls. So I have files, and on the other side, we built shelving. And then I made a little ticking curtain down there to keep all the extra cords and like our external hard drive storage unit there. We've got the router, things that you don't really want to see. Of course, the printer, my camera gear is kept in here as well. So you can use that little pocket on both sides of a natural layout in a closet and use that for storage. I actually do use all of these drawers. I do recommend getting a desk that has room for files. It's not 2 drawers, it's 1 drawer. So I keep files in there, and then, receipts and some stationery, some paint swatches, those kinds of things are kept up on top. That's my scale for when I weigh things that I found at the Goodwill bins. And of course, my beloved marmalade jar has my pens. So pretty straightforward, but I think it's a fun option if you have an extra closet to see it with new eyes. The 4th idea I have for you with desks is that you add your piece of furniture into a space that maybe it wouldn't normally belong. So technically, a desk should go in an office, right? But we don't have an office, say, and so it goes in the living room. This is in the corner of my living room, next to the window seat. And again, the way it is styled makes it work in this space. I even have a chandelier overhead that we hardwired when we redid the house. I put the chandelier over here because I thought it was interesting. It was off center. It would make this beautiful little space. So that's something you could do too, to make it feel more like an office area, is to actually have a light from the ceiling coming down over that desk. Then, unlike some of my other desks, I actually have a blank wall behind this one, and so I can add more of a gallery wall, and that makes it feel like it belongs in this room a little more too. So let's go ahead and take a peek at the styling for this one. So here is the chandelier coming straight down from the ceiling. Found that on Facebook Marketplace. And then I have different photographs from the Bespoke Design Retreat. We always do a group photo, and so I plan to fill that wall. One of my sweet girls had the sketch of the Mayhurst estate done for me. Loved that gift last year. Again, keeping the colors pretty much gold, blue, cream, and brown. I find all of my desks on Facebook Marketplace, and I loved the legs on this one. I just felt like it was such a stunning piece to add into the living room. Lots of thrifted books. If you have a cloche, that would be lovely. My little slip-covered chair. There's 2 desks in this room. They both have the same chair. Helps keep them coordinated. There's that secretary desk over there by the front door. Now, for the actual utilitarian portion of this desk, I've got little thrifted containers. We have paper clips in there. This desk organizer is off of Anthropologie, and I just love it. So we have cute pens. Those are by Sugar Paper. Pretty scissors, little magnifying glass. In that shell box there, we have Post-it notes. So think about the shapes and sizes that will work for the needs that you have. I realized I don't actually have footage of this desk, this bar desk that we put in my son's room. So I just have photographs. This again is a very tiny bedroom. We have lockers on one side for storage and then a tiny bit of space to add a bar desk. And this is just a piece of butcher block. And we added it to the wall with a rolling desk chair. There's a room for a lamp and maybe some books. All right, this is the last desk. This is actually my least favorite because I don't have as much jurisdiction with the decorating, but it is my husband's desk. And if you are in need of a large desk, I suggest thinking outside of the box and looking at dining room tables, maybe even your own dining room table. Desks and dining room tables are exactly the same height. They are interchangeable. So this is actually one that my friend was gonna throw out. I rescued it, and I still love the beautiful pedestal legs, but the top was damaged really badly. So we took that off and we built this faux concrete top. I have a whole blog post and YouTube video on that. But I have a lamp. Of course, we always have a lamp. Now, he doesn't like desk organizers. The gold one that's downstairs in the living room was originally up here. It was his. But he needs somewhere to put pens and batteries and things. So I get beautiful cigar boxes and he just fills those. So that's actually a tip if you have someone that you're trying to get a little bit more organized, maybe they're more a visual organizer and you're trying to corral it a little bit, is to give them really good containers. And then they can have as much as they want. Just tuck it away so you don't have to always look at all of it. You can see I added in a little sign up there that says office. The one thing that I would say about this particular style is you're gonna have some cord management issues. But you can see down there, I've done a lot of work with them, but it is difficult. I mean, I would say minimize the need for cords. I mean, if this were my desk, I actually wouldn't have a desktop. I would just have a laptop, and that would help a lot with the cords. But what I try to do is have the cords come along the back of the desk, and then I just attach them down the back of the leg, and there's a lot there that you can't see. So it does help, but ideally I would have no cords. Thank you so much for watching. If you would like more resources, I help women connect and learn more about God in my behind the scenes group and bespoke design retreats.
I also help women expand their talents with my Elite Decorating Academy and seasonal decor boxes. I will leave the links to these resources in the description box below.